Hello, my name is Julia Ross, and I'm here to share my story with you all and hopefully answer some questions for you with regards to surrogacy. So, I'm going to just briefly go over my story and what brought me to surrogacy and how I built my family. And hopefully that answers your questions. And I'm always open to conversation and connecting with anyone who has any more questions or just curiosities. I'm an open book, so feel free to contact me and ask me anything anytime. I'll start by saying in 2002, I married my high school sweetheart. And soon after that, we became a military family. We live now in Pembroke, Ontario, which is about an hour and a half from Ottawa. And as soon as we got married, we stopped preventing pregnancy and hoped to become pregnant right away. We both wanted to become parents, and we had no idea that it was going to be difficult for us. We were young, and felt like there was no reason why we wouldn't be able to start our family. Both my sister and my mom had babies really easily, and so we really didn't expect any difficulties there, but we were faced with many. So after a year of trying, we got connected with the Women's Hospital in Toronto and the fertility department there, and we began testing and fertility drugs and a process that we sort of fondly nicknamed Amazing Race for Fertility Couples, because it was just pure chaos when you think about it now. As far as trying to become pregnant, it was the least conducive environment and scenario to having that be successful. There was myself and my husband rushing downtown Toronto every morning to have blood work done and ultrasounds done to see what was happening with follicles and eggs, and it was just chaos and was not successful for us. But every morning you would see the same couples, and eventually weeks would go by, months would go by, and the couples would change, and you would assume that that meant that they got pregnant and they moved on to the next stage of the race. And ultimately for us, it was not successful. So we went as far as IUI, so insemination. And at that point, we decided that we were young, we were exhausted from trying, and we knew we wanted to be parents. But sort of in a moment of grief over a recent failed attempt, I said to my husband, I don't need to be pregnant, but I need to be a mom. So that's what really propelled us in the direction of becoming foster parents and ultimately adopting. So right around that same time, my husband was getting posted to his first posting in the military, and we were stationed in Trenton, Ontario, just about 2 hours east of Toronto. So at that time, we kept our doctors in Toronto because it was a long process to get connected with doctors, and we just felt like we had established that, so we kept those doctors there. But we had also, like I said, stepped back from really aggressively trying to get pregnant. About 5 months after we were posted to Trenton, we achieved the accreditations we needed to become foster parents, and about 2 months after that, we had our first placement, and that first placement has become our first child. So she came to us as a foster placement with an adoption plan. Quickly, that adoption plan broke down, and we immediately put in our intention to adopt her. She was 13 months at the time, and about 18 months later, adoption was finalized. So in those 18 months where we were on adoption probation, many things happened. So about 6 months after our daughter came to us, I discovered I was pregnant. Completely floored, shocked, surprised, worried, scared, every emotion you can think of when I saw those two lines on the test for the first time after taking probably hundreds of tests leading up to that point. I was completely shocked, and immediately my head went to how do I parent both these children and make sure that they feel 100% equal in love, and there's no distinction between biological connections and things like that. So that was scary at first. We got a doctor and we began to, do the early stages of pregnancy testing. We had blood work done and we had the first ultrasound, and right away things were a little bit off. My dates and the size of the sac were not lining up and things like that. We remained hopeful, and we're just so happy, and couldn't believe that after 7 years of trying and medications and all of that we had become pregnant on our own. And 9 weeks in, we were in Toronto actually just visiting family, and I began to spot. And because we were in Toronto, we went to our fertility doctor that we had been seeing, and she confirmed for us that there was no heartbeat and we were losing that pregnancy. So at that time, it was the most cruel thing that I had ever experienced. I could not understand why my body would do that, why it would accept a pregnancy only to lose it. And we were devastated, absolutely devastated. And because the adoption of our oldest daughter was not finalized, I was scared to be sad because I didn't want anybody to think that I couldn't manage and I couldn't cope to parent her in my sadness. So it was really not till years later that we really dealt with that loss, because we were very much consumed with our daughter, who was only 2 years old, and we were very busy with her and focusing on the adoption being final. So 5 months after that loss, I became pregnant again. And in the moment I saw those two lines, I instantly knew it was like a wave came over me, and I knew the purpose of the pregnancy that we had lost was for me to believe in my body, believe that my body could become pregnant, and believe that we could have a biological child. That pregnancy was smooth, and we welcomed another daughter 9 months later. While I was pregnant with Sophie, I had said to my husband that, if this really happens, if we have a baby and everything goes well, I need to do this for someone else. I need to do this for another woman who is unable to do it for herself. And so it was really that experience that propelled us in the direction of surrogacy. And I did so through an agency in Canada called Canadian Surrogacy Options. And I sought out their guidance and support in seeking out intended parents who needed a surrogate to create their family. And ultimately, I decided on a couple who lived in Newfoundland, and I helped them have 2 children, actually, a little girl in 2012 and a little boy in 2017. And in between those 2 deliveries, I helped another family in Ontario have a little boy in 2014. So I've had 3 surrogate children since having my first biological child, and most recently in July of last year we had another child for our family. So I've had 5 babies, 5 healthy babies. I have 3 children of my own, and I have 3 surrogate children, and now I work for Canadian Surrogacy Options, helping support and coordinate all the pieces that are involved in surrogacy. So connecting surrogates with intended parents, supporting intended parents and surrogates as they navigate through this process with counselors and clinics and lawyers and hospitals and social workers and all the pieces that you need to make your way through this process successfully. I'm the client care director for Canadian Surrogacy Options now, and I work from home. And so that's that's kind of the Coles notes of it all. Yeah. Like I said, I'm happy to answer anything anytime, and I'll make sure to answer the questions that have been sent to me so far, and we'll field them as they come in. If there's any more questions or anything like that, then I'm happy to connect anytime. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.